to Hustle TV, producer series.
Hey everybody, this is ZOF. I'm here today to break down my track Cupcake that came out on my 3-track EP on House of Hustle back in July. One of my favorite tracks I've released to date, actually, and I'm really excited to break it down and show you how I made it. It's also one of the simplest tracks that I've made, so let's get right into it. Alright, so you can kind of see the overall way I lay out tracks and how I kind of organize things, but for those of you who haven't heard the track, I'm just going to play it through once so you can get a chance to hear what it sounds like before we get down into the pretty.
I'm in the kitchen cooking up some wishes. I'll bake you cupcake if I make it so delicious. I'm in the kitchen cooking up some wishes. I'll bake you cupcake if I make it so delicious. I'm in the kitchen cooking up some wishes. I'll bake you cupcake if I make it so delicious. I'm in the kitchen cooking up some wishes. I'll bake you cupcake if I make it so delicious.
Alright, so you get the idea there. But let's break it down into the pieces. So the kick, to start, just a basic kick. I use kick 2 pretty much all the time, unless I find like a really nice kick sample that I like and I want to use. But otherwise, I'm making it with kick 2. This one is like exceptionally simple too. Like I used the UMEC 1 kick 2 preset. I boosted the drive on the distortion a tiny bit. I shortened the length of the kick a little bit. Believe it or not, it's actually longer than 1,000 milliseconds, this preset. Messed with the EQ a little bit just to pull out a frequency, but you can hear what that sounds like on its own here. simple, subby, deep kick. Nothing too crazy. There's the click. The soft little kick, or click, I mean. And yeah, that's basically it. I didn't do that much to the kick this time. This is also the version before it was mastered and everything, so I froze and flattened all my audio, and I usually will flatten my kick and make sure that each individual audio clip for the kick is perfect. And then for this kick accent thing that I have here, this is just like a little subby accent kick you can hear. It's just to give it like some rhythm. So if you hear that in combination with the full kick, it gives it a little bit more of an interesting groove. A little more jack in there. And that kick is basically, it's basically another basic kick sound. I used the boing preset, lengthened it a little bit, and I took out the clicks on it because I thought they were too clicky. I just wanted it to give it kind of a thumpy rhythm there. It's an accent after all, it's not the main kick. But that's pretty much it for the kick. Kick is super simple. As far as processing goes, I just EQ'd a little bit, took out some of the really low end. You can see when that plays where I'm cutting it very low, so just taking out those really sub frequencies, and then taking out some of the high end. Really nothing complex there. Kind of left it to mastering for that. And then the bass, I left it as Analog Lab so you can see kind of what I use. I really like Analog Lab for its presets. It has really nice presets that you can really work into completely different sounds by using effects and stuff. So my bass line for this song is super simple, like really, really simple. It's only 2 notes, so it's very basic. I tend to gravitate towards more melodic stuff a lot of the time, so this was a very simple choice for me to make. And you can hear this bass has got nothing super crazy going on. It does do a little interesting turnaround here at the last drop, where those notes are actually at the turnaround, it kind of deviates to the natural minor. Like the bass line is it's a major fifth, just going back and forth there, but then on the little turnaround here harkens to the minor key there. I don't know if you get that, but I thought it was cool. So it's the sound itself is nothing that crazy. It's like, I think it's just like a sub bass preset from Analog Lab, if it'll open here. Yeah, the go-to sub freak. A good preset. I don't remember exactly what I did, but I probably messed with it a lot because I know that the preset on its own is not great, but then EQ it a little bit. I had BX subfilter on this, but I think I decided it was a little too meaty with that on, and it didn't need it. And then a little bit of glue compression and shaper box. I put shaper box on everything, just kind of dial it in for each one. I like it better than Ableton sidechain, and you'll notice that I use pretty much all stock Ableton plugins on this project, at least. I don't always, but I am a fan of using the stock plugins because I think they work really well, and especially when you know your way around them. And then drums. So the drums, again, are pretty simple. I didn't go too crazy here. Processing is nothing to write home about. Got a glue compressor going on there. and very like extremely gentle shaper box. That actually shouldn't be there. So let's hear the drums as a group soloed. Basic stuff. And you can see this glue compressor here. Just makes it a little bit bouncier. I don't turn on soft clip. I don't like it. But that's the drums as a whole. So I got a 909 kit going on, basic stuff. That's kind of the main groove. I've got a little snare going in there. I've got the hi-hat, the 909 clap, and I really didn't do all that much to change them. I did a fade out on all the samples in one shot. Oh, and you'll see I'm actually clipping here. I might have accidentally adjusted that louder at some point while prepping for this, but just ignore it for now. And then I have another clap layer down here. It sounds like a little mushy almost. It's just a highlight, the clap there, so you can hear it together. Gives it a little bit more width. And then we've got the ride, of course. Gotta have a ride, and I just basic 707 ride. For some reason, I wasn't using very many fancy samples when I made this track. I kind of made this track quickly. It was kind of all inspired at once. And then there's another ride down here, along with like a tambourine sound. And that's kind of going throughout the entire track. And of course, a little shaker. And the shaker has a little bit interesting of a pattern on it. I think I put a groove on here, which I like to do. Nope, I didn't put a groove on there. But so just a basic shaker sample. And what did I use for that? Yeah, this is another kit that comes with Ableton. So this is really like a model track for how you can make a really good track using nothing but stock Ableton. You don't need to have super fancy plugins. Although this is just the pre-master. After this, it had processing done to it to make it the final version, but you can do a lot with stock Ableton. That's basically my drums. And like I said, there's not a ton of processing on the group there, just a little bit of compression. And then these leads, these are kind of at the turnarounds on all of the things. So you can hear like, that's these. So again, these are just, they're both Analog Lab presets that I messed with a little bit. You can hear them separately. So that one's a little bit more muted. And then this is the bright one, the bright version with the overdrive on it. Oh wait, no, this is the one on it. But again, pretty simple. This one I pitched it up. Pitched this one up even higher. Played them layered over each other. They sound pretty good, sound wide, and then I just EQ'd them. See, this is what they sound like without the EQ and the saturation. So, basic again. Just wanted to that, and that mirrors the melody of the bass line. So if we played all of those together. So it gives it that nice space there before the drop. That's about it for the little turnaround lead here. And then this is the biggest section here. This is like all my synths and effects, so I'll just kind of go through in order with these. Got a little perk noise here is the first thing, and also like I don't have any bus effects on this one because they're kind of a variety of sounds. I have effects and synths and all that in there. So this is that main little perk synth noise that's kind of pumping through the whole track. Pretty quiet. But this was something I think that I got from, I was recording like something else with my MIDI keyboard, and just this little freeze tail sounded really good, so I kept it. That happens a lot. That's a lot of how I find sounds sometimes. And then I have a little perk sample here. And that makes that almost like vocal sounding noise that you hear throughout the track. I really like that sound. It's just got a bit of an echo on it. I really like Ableton Echo. It's very versatile. I should have grouped this though. And then some reverb. Make it wide. You can hear without that stuff. It's just a little drier without that. And then the timer alarm. This was, I got this sound because after I added the Cupcake lyrics, I was like, I need to include a little timer noise. And so I just went, I don't know if I found it on Splice or like YouTube or whatever, but I went and found this little timer noise, like you're baking and they're ready. I thought that was cute. But I didn't do anything with that. I just put on reverb so it's a little less dry. But that's one of my favorite little sound effects. And then this says it's a gong. I think it was a gong, but I pitched it up a lot really high, so it just kind of makes more twangy noise. And then I'll come back to these risers because they're kind of on the build section. There's this Woo sample that I don't remember where I got this at all, but it's a pretty standard Woo. Cool. Again, put some reverb, a little bit of delay on there this time, and that only happens in the final drop. Kind of spices it up a little bit, adds a little bit of a new element from the first drop. And of course a white noise. Nothing fancy going on here. I usually use Operator to make my white noise, and I'll just put I'll put it on the white noise wave and then adjust it. And looks like I manually automated the gain here to make it pump, as I think that often sounds better than a sidechain. Actually, let's see which sounds better here. Kind of indistinguishable. I think I tried both here and I couldn't decide, so. But either way, white noise, it's subtle background noise. This little reverse hit, it only happens once in the track. It's a sample from something I think I just reversed another noise that's in the song. But this is, for context, this is where it plays. Just once. I think I tried it in other places and I didn't really love how it sounded, but I keep it there, so I kept that. And then this lead, it's kind of those bouncy chords that go through the choruses. This is, you can see there's I have the most processing on these channels. So I used Analog Lab again. Looks like the preset is I use bouncing noisy piano, which is about what it sounds like. That's a pretty accurate name. And then I EQ'd it, have an effects rack, so I have channel EQ a little bit, like boosting the high and pulling the low. Some flanger stuff, I think, there. Reverb. And echo. So all of these different pieces in here without the rack on. That's doing a lot for it. And then of course compression. I think or why I use the Ableton compressor here instead of Shaper Box, but I probably had a logical reason there. When I do use the Ableton compressor, I always do it by frequency if I'm trying to side chain it. But yeah, that's a pretty aggressive side chain right there. Oh, and then the whip noise, of course. So I have the whip noise. I think this is actually a longer whip sample, and I like shortened it so it would fit. Like if we send this, oh, maybe. Oh, so I reversed it. So I reversed it and used both the reverse and the full whip noise to get that build up sound there. So the whip noise I really liked. My mom is always telling me I need to put a whip noise into my tracks, and so I was channeling her with that. I decided this was the one that needed it. So then on the build here, I also have the risers. The riser I made using Wavetable. So this is probably the most sound designy part that I actually did in here. The Wavetable is like, it comes with Ableton, so I really like it. It's really versatile. I basically, looks like I'm choosing between like almost a full square wave here. And then I'm automating the filter based on like the velocity and other things. So it gives that really like pumping noise. And then got a little distortion on there to give it that kind of scrapey sound. Little bit of frequency shifter so that it rises in pitch. You can see that I've automated that up. Sometimes I'll do that like within the MIDI clip in here, but I decided to use frequency shifter for that. It sounded a little bit better. And then more effects. I got an echo on here, some auto pan to make it travel back and forth, and it's not super dramatic. And then of course a reverb. And then I have another riser layer here. And this is, I think, a sample that I pulled from another track that I've worked on before. And it just makes a good layer with this riser here. You can hear it trail off a little bit. But yeah, so that's about it for the synths and effects and stuff. And again, I didn't put any processing on the group there. The vocals is probably the most complicated and time-consuming part. So when I made this track, I'd made the beat and it was like in the middle of COVID quarantine, like full lockdown. And so of course we were all trying new things, and I was baking. was baking either cookies or actual cupcakes, and the idea for the cupcake lyrics just like came to me because I knew I wanted to put vocals on this track, and while I was doing that I was like, oh, this is it, I have to go record now. So I ran to my room and I recorded on my very shitty webcam mic at first, and I'm pretty sure some of the takes that made it to the final cut were taken on that shitty webcam mic because it was just, I just did it so that I could get the idea out before I forgot. So some of these sound actually kind of funny, but the final group together, they all sound really good.
I'm in the kitchen, cooking up some wishes. Bake you cupcake if I make it so delicious.
So all together, they kind of have that robot-y, high-pitched sound. So like to talk about like the overall processing at first. So I have a bunch of stuff on here. I have a gate. First of all, I gated the vocals because it takes out all of the like silent or soft parts between the main words. So just below a certain level, it won't pick it up. You can see it drops out a little bit there. But it helps a little bit to clean up some of my like breath noises and stuff like that wasn't able to like shave off in the audio clip. I think I had some there. And then compression, pretty basic. I've got multiple compressors lined up here. They're kind of like stacking on top of each other so that it's not too, what I'm looking for, too harsh right away. And then a limiter with a -6 at -6 dB. Because when I was recording these vocals, I was singing in a very like stylistic way, so there's a little bit of volume dynamics there that I controlled with the limiter here. And then EQ, always got to EQ out the low end for vocals. Another EQ. This is a channel EQ to boost back some of these highs. You can hear if I turn these off.
I'm in the kitchen, cooking up some wishes. Bake you cupcake.
So the channel EQ is really giving it more air on the vocals. And then an OTT.
I'm in the kitchen, cooking up some wishes. Bake you cupcake if I make it so delicious.
Just makes it feel less flat there. And then another effect chain. This one's turned off, actually. So we got some reverb, we've got an echo, and a delay. So without all of this business on there,
I'm in the kitchen, cooking up some wishes. Bake you cupcake.
It's good, it's just kind of stagnant. So this is kind of all those after effects that you're hearing, making it sound a little more echoey.
I'm in the kitchen, cooking up some wishes. Bake you cupcake if I make it so delicious.
And then of course a shaper box just to sidechain it and give it that pumping feel the whole way through. So these vocals are on each individual track. I used M Auto Pitch, which I have a whole slew of free plugins from M Auto Pitch, and I really like this because it's free, and it also like it has a really quirky, cute sound. So you can hear, I'm gonna show you what this sounds like without the auto pitch on. You can hear how weirdly I had to sing to record these.
I'm in the kitchen, cooking up some wishes. Bake you cupcake if I make it so delicious.
You can hear, like, it wasn't me singing beautifully or anything. I had to do a bunch of takes to get it to sound the way I wanted and enunciate the words the way I wanted to. And then in the auto pitch, I have format shifted it quite a bit. And these settings are different on each take here, But
I'm in the kitchen, cooking up some wishes. Bake you cupcake if I make it so
you can hear the
delicious.
difference when I
I'm in the
format
kitchen,
shift it.
cooking up some wishes.
And then I added a bunch of width to it too. I really like how the width sounds with M auto pitch. It sounds kind of distorted and cool. I like how it sounds. And then I usually adjust the speed and depth, but I used like a really full depth for this because I wanted that like auto-tune-ish sound. I didn't really want it to sound like my natural voice. And all you can hear all the samples are, or all the takes are tuned or pitched a little bit differently.
I'm in the kitchen, cooking up some wishes. I'm in the kitchen, cooking up some wishes. Baking cupcake. I'm in the kitchen, cooking up some wishes. Baking cupcake. I'm in the kitchen, cooking up some wishes. Baking cupcake if I make it so delicious. I'm in the kitchen, cooking up some wishes. Baking cupcake.
Like you can hear I sang a bunch of different styles, very exaggerated, trying to get that sound. And so that all together so that it sounds sassy. What's this? This is a little ad lib I have. Oh yeah, this is the This was harder to record than you'd think. I probably looked weirdly weird, just sitting there recording over and over again until I got the one that sounded the way I wanted it to, because I really didn't do that much to this one. I auto-pitched it again, but yeah. So that's pretty much the whole track. I mean, vocals were by far the most complicated part. But I had a ton of fun making this track, and I'm proud of how it turned out. So I hope you thought this was interesting and that maybe you learned something. But again, this was a really simple, straightforward track. So just goes to show that if you're working it with stock Ableton, you can make a really good track from start to finish, and you don't need anything necessarily super duper fancy. You just need a good idea. But yeah, thank you so much for watching my breakdown, and thanks to the House of Hustle crew for having me on the show. And I hope to be back again with another breakdown in the future.